Working fine. Right, hi. So I'm Fiona Whitten. I'm independent Stampin' Up demonstrator here in Wokingham, here in the UK. Oops. And I'm coming on today just to share briefly some card ideas using your scrap paper. Tonight, the retirement list from the 2020 main catalogue goes live, and don't know what's in it other than I do know that every year most of the double-sided paper retires. It's not very often that things get carried over, and also every year there's a retirement of the in colours. So this year's list will definitely have the 2019 to 2021 in colours on it. So I'm just going to show you quickly what you can expect. So these here, the Rococo Rose Terracotta Tile, Pretty Peacock, I can't even see if this is on here, yeah, Pretty Peacock, Seaside Spray and Purple Posy will most definitely be going tonight. When I say going tonight, what I mean is they're on the list. Normally you can expect them to be available until the new catalogue goes live at the beginning of May, but these items, anything to do with in colours, seem to go within days. Sometimes it's been known to be a couple of weeks, but they do go very quickly. So if you're wanting to stock up on any of the cardstock, the markers, the blends or anything, then please do so sooner rather than later. And then this is the designer series paper. So as I said, most of them are likely to retire. I've not heard any rumours that anything's carrying over, but sometimes they like to surprise us. I don't know if you're like me. Being a paper crafter seems to go hand in hand with being a paper and cardstock hoarder. You know who you are if you're just as guilty as me. I like to keep my papers and cardstock somewhat organised, she says, and the fact that they're actually now all at my feet because they fell over, but hey ho. So my paper I tend to keep in a 12 by 12 clear plastic bag, and it's one of those Ziploc bags, so it just kind of snaps at the top. So I even keep all my scraps in there. So, for example, these are the scraps that I've got left from this particular pack of paper. Now, I try not to hoard the really, really small pieces. Someone once said you shouldn't really hoard anything smaller than a credit card. I am guilty of that. I do tend to hold strips. That's mainly because I like to use the cardstock for the inside of my cards. So that's one really good use for the paper. Sorry. So that's these. So you may recognise this paper because one of the kits from April, the Card and a Cuppa kits from April, used this paper. And then the other paper that I've been working on recently is this paper. And as you can see here, I have anything from a strip to what are just offcuts, literally, from the edges of the paper. Because again, this is paper that I've used for April's Card and a Cuppa kits. So I've got bits that I've got left over from prepping the kits, Card and a Cuppa kits, so as they say, I've prepped everything in advance, so everything's already cut, which means I get to keep all the offcuts. So we've got strips, we've got small pieces, we've got flowers, because I was cutting out flowers. You'll find that there are flowers in the kit that, okay, so I didn't actually fussy cut around completely, but you will find some flowers that you will have to fussy cut yourselves, I'm afraid. So that's the paper, and I'm going to be using that paper. So as I said, I keep my, excuse me as I dive under the table, I keep my 12 by 12s and 12 by 12 bags, and then I also keep my cardstock, and I have a lot of scrap cardstock. So for example, this is my Flirty Flamingo cardstock. So this is an A4 bag. So all my scrap pieces of Flirty Flamingo go in there. Sometimes I just throw in what's left of a card front. So quite often, if I'm making a one-off card, I'll go and dive into my scrap box, see if I've got a piece that's big enough to make a whole card, and I'll start off with that rather than actually getting a fresh piece of card. So that's Flirty Flamingo. I'm not going to go through every single colour. That's my Just Jade, and then obviously I've got things like Purple Posy. I don't have a lot left. Terracotta Tile, also that's a retiring one, so there's not much left of that either. So it's up to you how you keep and how you organise your scraps. I found that this system works best for me because it means that it's easy to get a hold of the colours that I want. That coordinate with the paper that I want to use. So without further ado, I'm going to make use of this paper because, as I said, this is the one that I've been working with recently, and I've got all sorts here. So I've got some scrap. So your go-to friend when it comes to using up your scrap paper are punches. They're the easiest thing to use because obviously you can simply take a punch and punch out a shape. So so this piece I would probably keep for an inside, or I might put it on the front. These edges here where you've only got part of flowers, I keep because say for example I'm going to make a card. I can use that piece just to decorate the inside corner. So it just adds some interest, or you could stick it on your envelope. So I don't tend to waste an awful lot of paper when it comes to my card making. I try and use as much as possible. If I can't find something, then I will quite often then simply just punch out a shape. So things like this tailored punch. It's good because you can punch out various different amounts. I can get 1, 2, 3. Can't get more out of that one. Let's see, I probably should have moved down a bit. So I'm just going to use those two from there. This is different paper. So actually I'm going to use the flowery side as well. There's nothing wrong with mixing and matching. That one. And what I usually do is the side that I want to have showing, I tend to have that facing me, and then I punch using my punch upside down. One, because I can see what I'm actually doing, and if there is a pattern I want a particular piece in there, then I can line it up. But also it's just the way the punch works. Sometimes you get a cleaner cut one way or the other, but these punches actually are not so bad. So for example, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh. Let's go for. I'm going to go for a 5th one because I quite like. Let's see, we've got that one. That one's got that, so I won't use that one. I thought I had another one of them somewhere, but anyway, it's obviously somehow already managed to disappear, but never mind. And I want to make sure that these are all going the same way. That doesn't really matter actually. I'm going to do that as well. So here, I mean, this piece I could probably, if I really wanted to, I could punch out. I can go to the extremes and punch out some small flowers. She says, and I thought I had that punch, but I don't. So I'm not going to fret it. That's it. I knew I had some. So I have got, let's see. So I've got 1, 2, 3. So, I mean, you can, using this sort of geometric pattern, you can basically put these in any format you want to. So, I mean, those would go really nicely on a landscape card. Alternatively, you could put them onto a, I mean, you think you could put them in a, you can make it. The thing is, you can play around with these. So geometric shapes are good. So anything like this, anything like circles. Just punch things out and keep them to one side, put them in a little baggie. Although, having said that, I have in the past punched things out, put them in a little baggie, and then I've lost them. And then I find them years later, and it's like, okay, what was I planning with those? So yeah, as I said, you can go completely nuts with this being double-sided. So you can make your own patterns, and I'm now rambling, so I'm going to shut up about those. Obviously, that's that one. You got the postage stamp that does exactly the same thing, but obviously it's a slightly different shape. So you can punch them out. And this one I'm going to punch out 3 of these. Let's go that way. And by holding it upside down, you see you can actually get it as close as possible to an edge. And then you know that you've got the whole of the punch shape. Obviously, I didn't quite make it there because there's a hole there, but you can't tell. So I'm going to use those. So I've got these 3 pieces. And I'm going to make a card. So I'm going to start off with some, let's see, what have I done with it? I've got some Rococo Rose. So let's see, what have I got? So I've got a piece here that won't make a whole card, I don't think, but it will make a card front. And that's the other thing you could do, is you could just simply make card fronts with these and then use them and just stick them on white card. That's backing so that's 21 centimetres by, actually, you know what, this is exactly the right size for a card front. So for a card itself, so I am actually going to use this as a card. So because it measures 21 centimetres going across the top, and that's 14.9. So that's exactly an A4 card, cut in half, and then to create that. So I can use that. Now, do I want to be really bold? I think I'm going to be really bold. So I'm going to get a piece of black. So I'm going to cut this to be, so I'm going to cut it to be 14.4 centimetres, which is half a centimetre smaller than the card front, by 10. So that is that. Let's see. And then I've got my 3. Got these 3. Now, they do show up, but I think I'd like to introduce a bit more Rococo Rose. So I'm going to go back to my scraps and see if I've got a strip, but that's not long enough. But I do have another one, which maybe. So I've got this one that might be long enough, but it's probably a bit too wide. Let's see now. Is it long enough? It's not quite long enough to go all the way across. Let's just measure it and see how much it is. So it is, okay, so it's not 13.9, so it's not quite long enough, but you know what, I'm going to use this. So we're going to put that central on here, and then we're going to put these on to here, like that. So I'm just coming up at the moment with an idea. So I like that idea. I could alternatively trim that down and make it slightly narrower, which is what I think I might do. So at the moment it's like 3.5 centimetres. So I'm going to take it down to 3, which doesn't sound like a lot to be taken off. It's only half a centimetre, but it will actually have quite an impact on the card, because you'll see, all of a sudden there's more of an overhang. So that's going to be that. Now, because this is black and white paper, I could pick out some flowers on here to colour. I'm not going to though. But what I am going to do is I'm going to add a sentiment to it. Now, you can stamp and punch sentiments as much as you want. I've cheated, and what I've done, and I'll show you the stamp set that I've used. So I've used this stamp set called Many Messages, which has, I can't remember, I haven't counted them, but it has a lot of sentiments. So thank yous, happy birthdays, be strong, happy to celebrate, hooray, hello, sending happy thoughts, thank yous, and all sorts of things, happy anniversary. So there's a lot of sentiments here. And what you don't realise is actually it is one stamp. So all of those get stamped out together, and this shows it at 80%. So it's the sentiments are slightly bigger. So for example, I'm so happy to celebrate you looks like this. Well, that's the actual size of it. But the nice thing about this is there is, in fact, a die, and it too is one die. So all of these sentiments that are on here can get stamped in one go and then die cut in one go. So if I can show you. Oops. So this is the stamp. I just need to move that out of the way at the moment because I just suddenly realised that I've actually got some magnets underneath, and otherwise I'll end up getting stuck to it. So this is the stamp. So as you can see, it's slightly larger than the stamp box, or the image on the stamp box, I should say. So this is the stamp. So I just stamped the whole thing, much like I was stamping the butterfly background last week. So again, I've used my stamp apparatus simply so that I know that if I haven't put enough ink on one of the sentiments, then I can just simply re-ink it and push it down, and I know that I will then get a perfect image. So I've used that stamp set, and I do have, so this is another one that I've stamped. And then this is what's left of the die cut after I cut all those sentiments out. So it is, so as I said, it is one die. If you're not, and this is a hint and tip for you, if you're not completely 100% to, what's the word? Or happy, I suppose, or confident to die cut these out straight off, what I recommend you do is that you actually cut out a blank, and then obviously you don't need the bits that you've die cut out, and then use this as a template. So what you would do is that you would die cut it out, you would then put your stamped item, your sheet, onto your die cutting machine, and then place this on, and then you would then use this, and you would sort of just move it around till you know that you're happy about where all the die cuts are going to be, and then just use that. And you can leave this on there as well, so I would suggest that maybe you use a bit of masking tape or washi tape or whatever you happen to have in your kit. Actually, I'm going to put this on here, and I'll show, and that way my hands are free. So just put a piece on there so you know it's held. And then all you need to do then is to place your die into the grooves, and you'll feel it sort of, all of a sudden it'll go because it won't shift. And so some of these things, you look at them and think, oh, that's going to chop it all off. But it doesn't, because we know that you've already die cut it, and you know that that is what it's going to look like. It's going to be where those holes are. So if you do it like this and then run it through, it won't affect your actual template that you've got, but it will cut through the second layer. So then you know that everything is in a perfect position. And it works not just for this stamp set, anything where you're not confident enough to make sure that it's in the correct position. I mean, magnetic plates help, but I know some of us don't have them, so you end up with bits of washi tape fixing things down. So this trick is a great way of making sure that everything will come out straight and perfect. So let's put that somewhere so I don't lose it, because it's only one die and I'll probably put it down somewhere. So I've got my 3 bits, and obviously you can put them around so that they're like this and move them over, and I'm going to keep this as a landscape card. And you can go as fussy as I said you would like. So if you want to colour those, and I'm just going to find a sentiment. So I've got things here. So I've already stamped these. So this is Rococo Rose. So I've already stamped them. So you can just simply put it together so that you then got your sentiment on the top. It's nice and simple. You can obviously take it a step further. You could emboss your background panel. You could even emboss the strip that you're going to rest the punched pieces on. So I'm not going to do that. I am just literally going to glue this together. So hopefully that makes sense to you. So I'm just going to quickly put some glue onto this. Put that on here. Like that. Then I'm going to glue this on. It looked a bit furry, but that's it, sorted that out. So try and put it central. I'm not able to pull this directly to me to make sure that it is central, because otherwise you will not be able to see it. And what I'm going to do is, rather than gluing these flat, I'm going to glue them, put them some dimensionals underneath. So I'm just going to roughly place them on there and see, kind of want them there, and then find my dimensionals, which I do have to hand today. It makes sense. So this is actually the 4th Wednesday of March, and in fact we do have one more Wednesday. So there are 5 Wednesdays this month. So I will be back next week with another Facebook Live next Wednesday. I am planning for it to be back in the morning again, although having said that, I had to take my mum to the doctor's today, and she's now waiting for an appointment to go and have a mole looked at. So I may end up having to take her to hospital for that. But and they said it would happen in the next 2 weeks, but who knows really. With all the COVID stuff at the moment, nobody can guarantee anything as to what's going to be happening. So I'm just going to put these on. Get rid of the backing of that. Oops. And I'm just going to put that in the middle there. And then obviously I can put that to one side. Whoops. You can put it here, or you can put it where you want there, in the middle. You could even put it down there, but I actually quite like it in going across the middle. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on that too. Don't need to go too mad. I just need 3, 1 each end and 1 in the middle. There we go. See if I can actually get it to go equal. Roughly, I think. It's not too bad. So that's that. And then obviously if you want to put a little bit of bling on it by way of rhinestones, then we can do that. Not sure that I want to put one either end there. So I'm just going to get my take your pick tool, and maybe I'll just put 3 down here, just to add a little bit of extra interest. So that's my front done. So that, as you can see, is dead simple. A little bit of punching, a little bit of stamping, die cutting, glue it together, and then we have to do the inside, because as I said, I like to decorate the insides of my cards and also my envelopes. Now, I know I don't have a scrap piece of Whisper White to go in the middle of that, so I'm going to have to cut a piece of Whisper White. In fact, it's not Whisper White, it's Basic White, because they've changed it. I don't know if you heard about that, but we now have a new white called Basic White, because the paper mill in the States closed down because of COVID. I guess they didn't have enough business to keep going. So I'm cutting this to be 14.4 by 10, which again is ½ centimetre smaller than the card. So I'm going to, as you can see, that's that. Now I can, as I said, I've got that strip of paper, which I did keep. It's here somewhere. In fact, it's in front of me. So I could put that on the bottom. I could put that on the side like that. I do have another piece, which was a corner, which is already cut out because I did see it earlier. Gotta love this on you. But if you don't have one, then where is a corner? Obviously you want a corner with a flower in it or something. You don't necessarily want a corner with just a leaf. Do I have any over there? Oh dear. Ah, no, I've just spotted it, and it's actually inside this plastic bag. There we go. So there's one I've made earlier. So that was just a straight corner of one of the sheets, and I just simply fussy cut. So that was the corner of the sheet, and I fussy cut around it. And of course, obviously you can colour it, or you can just stick it on as it is. I'm just going to stick it on as it is and leave it black and white. So I'm just going to, whoops, need to make sure that that's level with the paper, with the cardstock, and not the actual, oops, what happened there? There we go. And then glue that in. And as I said, again, you can do exactly the same with your envelope if you want to decorate your envelope. So I know I haven't got a naked card. So that's my inside, that's my front. Very simple to do. Obviously, I chose that, congratulations, but there is just a card to say hello. So that could have, what else have we got? Happy to celebrate. Magical moments. There's all sorts of bits and pieces. I'm not going to go through every one. So if you would like to know, to see that stamp in more detail, it's actually in the January to June catalogue on page 35. You can buy the stamp individually and the die, or you can buy it as a bundle. It's up to you. But I certainly am planning on just doing these in various colours and then just keeping them so that if I need to make a card in a hurry, then I can just simply find my appropriate sentiment and then add it to a card front. I don't very often put sentiments directly onto my card front when I make them, but so this is a great way of doing that. And obviously by stamping them in different colours, you could, if you wanted, stamp, say for example, just the top ones in one colour and then the bottom ones in another, just by using your ink pad and just applying it to top and bottom. You can use a sponge, you can use a brayer, you can use whatever a dauber to put ink on any of these individually if you only want a particular one. And then obviously you can then just you can either die cut it, but it'll also mean that you end up with everything else die cut, or you could just simply punch it out. So that thank you, for example, is ideal. You would just put the ink on that in the corner, stamp it, and then as long as you haven't stamped it completely into a corner of a piece of card, then you can then punch it or use another shaped die just to punch out that individual element. So yes, there is one die that cuts all of them out at the same time, but that doesn't mean that you can't just pick out one particular one that you want to use. Stampin' Right markers are great because you can literally then just pick out that particular sentiment that you want, and then obviously stamp it onto a scrap piece and then punch or die cut or whatever. But the fact that you can actually stamp and then die cut the whole lot in, you know, 2 goes. Basically, you're stamping one lot and then you're just putting in your die cutting machine and die cutting the whole lot in 1 go. So it's a great time saver, and I say a great way of just having all sorts of sentiments that you can just put to one side and then pick out the ones you need at the appropriate time. And then don't forget about using up your scrap, because it's retirement time. I'm now trying to figure out how to use up all my scrap. This paper is not retiring yet because it's in the January to June catalogue. It won't be retiring until end of June. So this is still going to be available, as is the stamp set and dies. But things like the Rococo Rose will be going, and other things that are in the main 2020 catalogue. So that goes live at 7 o'clock. I have put some links up on my Facebook page, but if you go to https and then it's //oakvillecrafts.stampinup.net, and that will take you to my online store. The online store is the best place to get the up-to-date information. We get told when things are running low, but only if it's actually some information we have to go and search on the demo website. So if I find something's low, it's going to be a lot later than you being able to go onto my store and then just ordering direct, because that is up to date and it links directly to the Stampin' Up system. So if it's out, it won't be on there anymore. So if there's anything in particular on the retirement list you want, don't hang about, just to avoid that disappointment. Okay, well, that's it, all I have to share today. I'm sorry that I was late. Just one of those things. I have no idea why my phone decided it was just going to, well, I had to reset it in the end, so sorry about that. And I will see you next week. So it's the 5th Wednesday of the month, and I'm actually going to show you, excuse me, I need to find it because I just realised I put it somewhere else. So I'm going to show you how to make this card. It's called a drapery fold. You can Google and find lots of examples of this, or Pinterest or whatever. This was a card that I made with the Acorns on Monday. Every Monday morning we have a bit of fun and we all get together on Zoom, and either I or a couple of the others will talk us through, and it is literally talking. There's usually, you don't know what the finished card is going to be until you've actually finished it. So it's a lot of fun. There's a kind of, sometimes there's a bit of intrepidation and people are not too sure. But we try and do things like fancy folds and things. So this was last Monday. So I will talk you through it next Wednesday and share how I made it. So I hope that I will get to talk to you then. And of course, what I've shown today will be on saved on Facebook, and it'll also go up on YouTube as and when I can get my internet up and running properly. So that's it for today. Don't forget to check out the retirement list come 7 o'clock. I can't believe it's that time of year again. It's gone really, really quickly. So have fun and take care. Bye.